All right, it's time for our It's the Law segment, and we're talking about custody. If a single parent dies, where will the children end up? This is actually a question from one of our viewers. And we're going to bring in our legal expert, Jay Davis, here to weigh in. Jay, thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks,
so I have two scenarios here. The first one, if a person who has kids prior to a marriage gets married, chooses to list someone else as their guardian, and then they die, does the husband have the right to keep those kids, or does it go to the person that they signed off on beforehand?
Well, in today's society, we have to decide if the husband is the father.
Right.
Because we've got a lot of problems with who is the father. And a lot of times there are people who are having children out of wedlock. When we talk about single parents, it's usually a mother, and the father is either unknown or out of the picture, or just visitation rights.
Right.
And if fathers don't legitimate those children, they don't have the legal right to those children.
So even if the father lives at the house, he still can't keep
if they have two people who got together and they had kids and the father never legitimated, but he was taking care and they're living as a family, until that legitimation is done, that father doesn't have a right to the child. So it would go to the child's legal next of kin, which would start with a sibling. If the mother died, it would, and the child had no children, the children could not be a legal guardian if it did have a child, if it was a 16-year-old with a 2-year-old or something like that. So you'd go to the next line, the next of kin would be a sibling. If there's a sibling who is an adult, an 18-year-old or older sibling, they would be the next one in line, and then it would go up. If there is a father, a biological father, then the inclination would be for the government to try to get that father legitimated, to try to do the things to make him the legal father and to put that together. But you keep going through the line of next of kin to find an adult who would be able to take care of the child, would be the natural way if it wasn't assigned.
And I was going to say, and then after that, would that be up to a judge at that point, or is it just kind of a family comes together?
The natural of kin would be the family could come together with the next of kin, and that could go into place there. School systems and stuff like that are probably going to eventually need something where that's sort of stamped official by a judge. So you'd have to go through that process. But if a mother, which I believe part of what the question was here, if a mother dies and let's say the father is out of the picture, if that father has legitimated the child or was married when the child was born to the mother so that the child was naturally legitimated, was legitimated at birth, then if that's going on, then the mother can't assign a guardianship through a will or other way. The mother can only assign somebody who would take her place.
Right.
And if there's a biological father in place that can, unless he's been proven unfit for some other reason, then he would naturally have the right over an appointment by the mother of a guardian.
Gotcha. Okay, so Jay, let's switch gears here. We're talking Ebola now. The gentleman who contracted Ebola and then brought it here to the U.S., he actually died this morning. Does his family have any right to sue the hospital for care or for lack of care?
Well, as we always say, you know, we want to always say, if you think you got a suit, come talk to us. You can sue for anything. But in this case where you've got something that is a deathly virus that came here, you have to prove some sort of negligence, some sort of malpractice on the part of the hospital or the doctors who took part. And in this case, there's a lot of movement around this virus to try to get some sort of containment of it. Another interesting question that this could lead off into is if he had an estate, if this person had an estate and died, could other people who have contracted it because he brought it here sue him for something? So you can get a chain of suits that can go, you know, all over the place when you've got something like this going on. However, there's probably not a real legitimate suit. The hospitals are probably doing all within their power. There's not going to be standard protocol for this that they could have violated because it's such a new thing. It'd be a new move to find something they did ineffectively or incorrectly that they should have known different. It would be a very hard case to prove.
All right, real quick, Jay, you've got your show coming up next week.
It's coming up at the end. It's Sunday. Should start next Sunday. We're working on getting October. There's a lot of things going on with the new way the set's going, so we're getting all that together. Should be on next Sunday, and we'll be back on every Sunday after that at 6 o'clock.
Excellent. As always, Jay, thank you so much for weighing in with us.
Thanks, Carl.
And as always, we want to hear from you. What legal issues have been on your mind? Are you in trouble with the law? Remember, you can always remain anonymous. All you got to do is send your questions in to us. It's the law at 41nbc.com, and we'll answer it right here on the news at 6. We'll be right back. Chris has a